Hi, I'm Silas Baxter Neal, and this is a collection of my covers. This is probably my favorite one, this color one. It was from a biking skateboarding tour we took through New Zealand, and it was just like an epic trip with some of the most amazing people I've ever been able to travel with, and something that wasn't an avid biker, so it was just something that was a real challenge to me, the bike riding part, and then we were able to camp and skate and see amazing stuff. And this was shot by Dylan Doubt, and this is at an old skate park. I'm not exactly sure where, but it was crusty, and there was like storm clouds looming, and me and Rache were just kind of cruising around, and then I think maybe Dylan asked us to do doubles over it, and it was just super fun trying to get close to each other and trying to get closer and closer and closer. I'm a huge Rache fan. I love his skating, and he's like a pretty amazing human. So I was really honored to like share a cover with him, and yeah, it was just the photo. I love the photo, and just like just the rawness of it and just crustiness of it. It's just, I really like this one a lot.
And when did you first see it laid up as a cover? Do you recall?
I think I saw a photo of it the first time. I was living in Chicago when this came out, so it was like 2009 or something.
Yeah.
It's a Canadian magazine, and I don't think that I got. I think I saw a photo of it from somebody in Canada first, and then it was sent to me. But it wasn't something that I knew previously that was going to be a cover. I knew that there was going to be a big article about our trip, but I didn't know like what the layout was going to be, or who was going to be on the cover. But if you look at this list, it's Rache, Cairo, McCrank, Kenny Anderson, Keegan Sauter, Chris Haslam. Pretty awesome lineup right there. None of us rode for the same companies, at the time, really. So it was just really cool to like travel with people who you don't normally travel with.
Yeah.
And I was like probably the youngest out of all these guys, so it was cool to be around a bunch of my like heroes and people I looked up to. So this is my second cover, and this is one of the last slaps ever published.
Yeah.
And I was always a really big fan of Slap just because they had, they covered the lifestyle of skateboarding, and I really liked that about them, and I like that idea, like skateboarding is more about lifestyle to me than a sport or an art or anything else that people try and categorize it as.
Yeah.
This is in, Joe Brook shot this photo, and this is in outside of Sacramento, near the town where Nigel used to live. I forget.
Woodland?
Woodland, yeah, right near Woodland. And I had actually already done this trick, and Joe wanted to go back and shoot a photo of it, so this was like the second time I went and did it. And I think I did it better the second time, but they used the footage from the first one. I don't know. Those things just happen sometimes.
Yeah.
And this one's really cool because I love Ed Templeton, and he's like such an important figure in skateboarding, and also, like I said, he's somebody that like really emulates the lifestyle of skateboarding. Like he's been a photographer and he photographed the lifestyle of it forever. You know what I mean? And he's an artist that like uses his art to like accentuate the lifestyle of skateboarding, and like show the uniqueness of it. And he was one of the first pro skateboarders I ever saw in real life. He came and skated like some street festival in Eugene when I was a little kid. I think he had family living in Eugene, and so I think he was just like in town and got wrangled into doing like a halfway demo or something.
Rad.
So this was a pretty big honor to be in this one as well. Like I just was blown away.
And then you got a week with John Rattray in there too.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'd never put that together, but yep, there he is.
Yep. And whose magazine was this?
This is Clint Peterson, who is an awesome human being, and I've been lucky enough to skate and travel with, not in a long time, but somebody I really enjoy seeing when I do see him.
Yeah.
This was a really cool cover. This was shot here in Oregon by Garrick Ray, and this is a sewage treatment plant, and it's like an overflow tank, so like when all the shit got too high, if it ever did, or it flooded or whatever, it would come into here. So this area actually never had sewage in it, so it's clean. But this is pretty unique because my mom is a concrete finisher, and she did all the finishing work on this. And when I was like maybe 11 years old, 12 years old, first starting to skate, she would like come home from working on this place and be like, "Oh my God, you love this place." And I was like, "Yeah, right, Mom, you don't know what you're talking about. Sure, you don't know anything about skating." And she'd like try and describe it to me and say like kids were showing up with their skateboards, and she'd be like, "Oh no, come back, we close it, we're off work at 6, come back after 6. And I didn't, think anything of it until, I don't know, probably over 10 years later. I don't know, what year was this? I'm not sure, but
2011.
2011, yeah, so I don't know how old I was, but 10, 15 years later, And I knew about this spot, and I just never put it together in my head. And then when I went there, like, the way she described it all of a sudden just started like popping back in my brain and be like, oh my God, this is what my mom was talking about. She did all this stuff. And then, so yeah, it was like super awesome to be able to skate it. And then like also to get the cover and to show it to her was like a pretty cool thing to do. It was like
so you're frontside flipping
connection.
From the other side, right?
Yeah, over the wall, frontside flip over here. All these wheel marks are from Austin doing switch carves over it, which is pretty impressive. I mean, this space you can see is like a pretty little space to go through, especially switch backside, you know, I don't know.
Jeez.
Pretty cool spot though. It's one of those epic terrain spots, for sure.
Yeah. And remember seeing it on the cover for the first time?
I think Garrick Ray brought it to me and showed it to me. I think we knew it was going to be a cover though, and I think that I wrote a little thing inside to like to go with it. So I don't think it was a surprise, but I think Garrick brought it to me and showed it to me when the first time and here in Portland.
Do you know who that was?
Ricky Benham, yeah, Ricky the Dude. This is a Transworld cover that was shot by Dave Chami during the filming of Perpetual Motion, and this is actually like right down the street, probably less than a mile from here.
Okay.
And this was a spot that I found when my kids were really little, because they would sleep in the car so much better than at home, and so I'd be like, when we would get close to the house, if they're starting to sleep, I would just drive around the neighborhood, just like kind of trying to get them to fall asleep, and then they would like realize that I wasn't driving home, so I'd have to take different routes to make them think that I was going somewhere else because they were too smart for me.
Yeah.
And so I randomly found this one, and it's at a church, and I originally thought of it as like a gap to rail kind of thing, and it's kind of too big for that. And then I've shown it to Brennan Conroy, the Habitat filmer team manager, wrangler, and he was like, "Man, you should grind that thing." And I thought it was impossible, and then he kind of like forced me into trying it. Like a year later.
What background did you really have much of a grind to grind? Anything in your background? Like this seems so. I mean, like next level.
Not really. Not like you know, just like it wasn't something I specialized or anything like that. I'd done like a ledge, grinded one ledge and grind onto another ledge. You know what I mean? But it's pretty well set up for it in a way, because it's such a mellow rail at the top, and it's kind of tall, so it's not one you like drop onto and then just go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you kind of have to ollie up onto it, and so. And it's kind of like, well, I don't know, it's kind of curved a little bit, so it was kind of like, I don't know, for some reason it seemed like it worked really well for it. And I went there one night and tried it a few times and kind of got close, and then like was like, all right, I think this is possible. And then we went back and filmed it with John Holland, and I think Josh Matthews was there, and yeah, it was.
Whose magazine was this?
This one is The Boss, man. This is Andrew Reynolds, one of my favorite skaters of all time.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome to have his name on there. This was one of my last covers that I've gotten. This was the Skateboard Mag towards the end of their reign.
Yep.
And this was something I was really proud of, because this is like all shot in Portland, all black and white, and it's all Humphries. And since I was a little kid, I've always been a huge fan of Jon Humphries and loved his photography, and just like being able to shoot a whole interview with him. And it was like the first time I was able to like shoot something all in Portland.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a milestone, you know. It just felt like a really cool accomplishment to be able to work with him and have it all be in black and white, because he shoots such amazing black and white, and it really captures like kind of the grit of Portland too, you know. So I was really psyched on that. This was at a church here in Portland. And you know, it was kind of rugged. I had planned on doing something else on it, and then I could only do a 50-50 because it was just kind of like one of those things I'd always driven by and be like, oh, I could probably do this on it or whatever, and then nope.
Yeah.
You got to grind the rail, then you can't really tell, but there's another set of stairs you have to like kind of gap out past after those. And this was like away days, like right before the end of away days.
Whose magazine was that?
This is Neil Mims' magazine.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Neil.
When we talk about classic covers, what comes to mind?
I think my favorite classic cover is probably Phil Shaw at Fort Miley. Is like, I think that's just like, it was gnarly. Phil Shaw was such a raw, amazing skater, and that just like the layout of it was just such a good photo, and so, you know, like perfect spot for the font. You know what I mean? Like it was just such an amazing cover, and you know, that one really always stuck out to me. I think the other one is like the first magazine I ever owned was like the Josh Kalis Golden Gate Bridge magazine, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So like that one has like a spot burned in my brain and in my heart. I think I remember like almost every page of it, you know. It was
For
like one of
sure.
those ones that I just like poured over and over and over again, just trying to learn about skating.